Once again, my name is Lucy and I work for DocCity. This is KAUST's webinar. I want to welcome Alexander E. I will leave the floor to him and I hope that you have a good webinar. Welcome, Alexander.
Thanks for joining us. Can you hear me? Okay, Greg. Yep, we're good. Okay, so again, thank you for joining us. I hope you're all well. I hope everyone is safe and really appreciate you taking the time to go through this webinar with us. We're just going to give you a brief overview of KAUST and talk a little bit about our programs and our fellowship, our scholarship, what the campus is like. And at the end, we'll have time for question and answers. We will be doing a few polls throughout this webinar as well. So I think we're going to do the first one now, which is, we'd like to know if you've heard of KAUST before. So we're going to open it for 30 seconds. Please select your answer and we'll share after.
Okay, the answers are starting to come in. Alex, do you see?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Okay, I will close it in 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Great. So this is fantastic. A lot of you haven't heard of us. Some of you have, which is also fantastic, but you'll get to learn more today. So I'm going to start by introducing the panel here as speakers. So we have Greg Murphy. He's the Associate Director of the Admissions Office, and he's from Canada.
Hello.
Greg. And we have Nicole from the US, and she's a PhD student in mechanical engineering. And Rafaela from Brazil, who's a PhD student in electrical engineering. So thank you all for joining us again today. And a reminder that we will have a Q&A session at the end. So we're going to start by showing you a quick video of KAUST. It's quite hard to describe it. It's a lot easier if we show you in person and then describe it. So enjoy the video. So that's our quick introductory video to what KAUST is. Everything that you saw in that video is on campus. So you saw a golf course, that's on campus. You saw the residence, that's where students live, that's on campus as well. And I'll go into that a little bit later. So what is KAUST? Well, KAUST is a graduate level research university. If you look at the right side of your screen, you can see we're about an hour north of Jeddah, and we're based right on the Red Sea. It's a beautiful location. It's an all-encompassing campus, 36 square kilometers, that is private, so people aren't just allowed to come in whenever they want. Specifically for the community of KAUST, including students, faculty, scientists, and their families, and the workers there. The community has over 7,000 residents, and we have over 100. We have those residents from over 100 countries, so it's a very international population. If you'd like more information about the campus, we'll be sending an email out after this as well, which will cover that. But within the campus, some of the things that we have are a golf course, which you can see there. We have our own cinema, the university itself. We have a commercial district as well, which I'll talk about, and a marina. So it's a really great place to live, study, and work. So KAUST, I want to go back one because I missed something important. The vision of KAUST was to become a beacon of research in the Middle East and to bridge people and cultures and to provide knowledge for humanity. It was put together in just 1,000 days. So that was the King's vision. That's how quickly he brought it into play. So KAUST, again, is a graduate research university. All classes and language of instruction is in English. And we offer MS, PhD, and MS/PhD pathway degrees. The KAUST Fellowship itself is given to all students. So there's not a selection process for the scholarships themselves. Anybody that is admitted into KAUST receives the KAUST Fellowship. So that includes your full tuition, annual living allowance, which depending on what degree you're in can be 20,000 US per year to 30,000 US per year. It includes your housing, all your medical and dental insurance, and relocation support, including flights and flights home every year. So we're going to start the second poll now, which is, are you a student that is looking for a fully funded scholarship?
Okay.
So
Everyone, please vote. Are you looking for a fully funded scholarship? We will give you a few seconds. I think, okay, yes. Okay, they are answering in the chat, Alex, but it's okay. They are all answering yes. So.
Okay, fantastic. So it's something that you should definitely look at. Again, we can provide more information and happy to take questions from that as well. So some quick facts about KAUST. By the way, the picture in the background is of the campus and our library. We have just over 1,000 students. It's a small university in terms of student population by design, but we are increasing it slowly. It's based on a Caltech model. We have a 7-to-1 student to faculty ratio, which is very high in university terms. 65% of our students are international, 79% of students are PhD, which talks to the level of research output that we have. And we have world-class faculty, research scientists, and staff. Again, just under 100 nationalities on campus with 7,000 community members. So these are some more stats about our students. Again, 78% of students are PhD students, 22% are masters, we have a really high female to male ratio in terms of science and technology, which we're really proud of. And you can see our registered students by nationality. The majority are from Saudi Arabia. We have a lot of students from Asia, North America like Nicole, South America like Rafaela, Europe, and other Middle Eastern and African regions. So I think it's time for our third poll now, Lucy, which is, where are you from? Would like to know where you're visiting us from today.
Okay. For those who are answering on the chat, there should be a question popping up on your screen. Question 3, KAUST, where are you from? Okay, I will give you another 10 seconds to answer. I see that mostly South America and Europe, but I'll still give you time to answer. Okay, Alex.
Fantastic, thank you. It's great to see a great range of regions represented on the webinar today. So I'm going to pass this briefly to Greg, who's our Associate Director in Admissions. He's going to talk to you about the different types of degrees that we have.
All right, thanks, Alex. Hope you can hear me. Yeah, so we have 3 types of degrees. First of all, master's programs. We have a 36 credit unit program, so it's pretty short. I mean, it's 3 semesters and one summer session. So it's you can do with a thesis or a non-thesis option. In the PhD area, with the MS degree, you don't need to have a designated advisor or supervisor, faculty member. You can come in and complete the classes. With PhD, it's basically around 3.5 years plus, depending on how things go, on students that on campus with students that have entered with a master's degree. And so in this category, you would need to specify a faculty member, or you would have to be accepted by a faculty member to work with them towards the PhD. And so, and the other one on the third category is actually for a student that has completed a bachelor's degree and is looking to go on to do a PhD, but on in the pathway, they would end up completing the requirements for an MS degree. And so that's a good option for, it's for students that are highly academically inclined, the students that are ready to get into research right away. And you can opt out to, in that pathway, you could finish the requirements for the MS and graduate with the MS degree, or you could continue on or not take the MS and finish the PhD degree. So that's at your discretion. There are some areas that people study that maybe it's not desirable to have an MS degree in the middle. Maybe the PhD is really the one that you want to have. So.
Great. And so I think our next question for our audience here joining us is, which degree are you interested in? So we'd like to know. Please cast your votes.
Okay. What degree are you interested in? Most of you have already voted. I will give you another 10 seconds. Okay, I can see. Okay, we are done.
Fantastic. Okay, great. I think, Rafaela, you did your master's at KAUST as well?
Yeah, I'm finishing this semester.
Okay. And Nicole, did you do a master's at KAUST?
I'm the same. I'm finishing this semester as well.
Okay, fantastic. So any questions as well at the end, we can direct to Nicole and Rafaela. So Greg, would you mind talking about our different divisions in the next slide as well?
Sure. So KAUST is kind of organized when it was first set up. the idea was to really tackle the problems that are faced within Saudi Arabia, the Middle East, and really around the world. And so the focus in Saudi Arabia, for example, they spend most of their money on water desalination and power for air conditioning, you know. And so the idea of the Red Sea is very, very important. The idea of oil and research into upstream petroleum and material science, water desalination. And so ended up with 3 main divisions, and there's lots of cross pollination in these areas, but there's the BESI division, which is mainly biological and environmental science. In there, marine science is great. We've got the largest, the most beautiful lab right outside our windows here, which is the Red Sea. Plant science is an emerging area here. Bioscience is very broad, and bioengineering is a new program that we've just introduced, which has a lot of interesting connections across to PSE as well as to SEMC. So in computer science, electrical and mathematical science, there is applied math, computer science, electrical science, and statistics. And then physical science and engineering is the largest program. And within that, we have a new program, which is applied physics, but then there's chemical science, chemical engineering, earth science, energy resources and petroleum, material science, and mechanical engineering. So those are the 16 programs that we have, and underneath and affiliated to each of these programs, and also across different divisions, are the research centers that are listed underneath. And so they have membership from faculty members from each of the 3 divisions, and basically, so KAUST is a very interdisciplinary kind of interesting place where, say you're interested in bioengineering, you can spend a lot of time looking into computational bioscience, or you can look at things within computer science or electrical engineering or material science. And there is lots of cooperation across all of the programs.
Thanks, Greg. So I think Raphael is from the SEMC division, and Nicole is from the PSC division. So again, if this is your area and you have questions about what's it like in that division, please ask in the Q&A at the end of the webinar. So we're getting a bit of information from you guys. I'm going to ask you again for another poll, which is what division suits your interest most? Are you interested in programs from BESI, SEMC, or PSE? So Lucy, would you mind launching that?
Yes, it's already online. Okay. Do you guys see it? Let us know if you're interested in biological and environmental science and engineering, computer and electrical and mathematical science and engineering, or physical science and engineering division. Let's see. Can you check if something comes up in your screen?
Nothing's coming up on my screen,
I think
Lucy.
we have a delay. Okay, so I will just read the answers in the chat. We have, for example, Julia is interested in PSE, Salazar in BESE, most of them BESE.
Okay.
Maria, okay. Chemical science in specific. Okay. And then we have a little bit of computer, electrical, and mathematical science.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys. Yeah. It came up. Anyway, let's move on. So KAUST is an international university. We have faculty from all around the world, and also our student body is majority international. Our rankings speak towards our achievements. Again, KAUST has only been around for around 10 years. But since that time, we're #1 in the world in citations per faculty for the last 5 years now. We're also ranked #1 in the A3 rankings for the top 20 under 20. And we have 14 highly cited researchers at KAUST, which is 9% of our faculty. You can see on the map in front of you, we work across a wide range of regions, a lot in Europe, North America and South America, Africa, Middle East, Asia and Pacific. South America, I saw that we had quite a few members for the webinar today from that region. We work with USP, we work in Argentina, Colombia. We have a huge group of researchers that are working collaboratively out there. North America as well. Recently I was at Berkeley. Nicole may be able to speak a bit later about if she's doing any work back there or some of the faculty out there, and Europe and the Middle East, of course. So we have really good success with our alumni. 65% are employed and 24% are in academia. So if you add them together, it's really strong in terms of a alumni success rate. Some of our examples of companies that our alumni work at are in front of you. Some of these are also partner research companies, and a lot of our master's students also go on to PhD programs at world-leading universities as well, which are listed here. So we have another question for you. It is, would you rather work for a company or for a university after you complete your degree?
Okay.
Fantastic.
I will give you another 10 seconds. It's yeah, 60-40, mostly companies. Let's okay.
Great.
Okay, yeah.
Thanks, guys. Okay, so as the admissions associate director, I'll get Greg to talk a bit about our admissions requirements into our full programs.
Greg, you're on mute.
Figured that out. Thank you. Okay. So admissions to KAUST is it doesn't cost you anything to apply to our university, but it is quite a rigorous application and admission process. You need to have a degree, obviously, in a relevant degree in the area that you wish to study, and the application is online. Again, no application fee, but you would be required to put together your personal information into online, prepare a statement of purpose explaining what you're interested in doing, and a recent CV showing your work experience as well as how things are going in terms of your just who you are, and get a feel of where you're going. We would need official transcripts at the end of the process, but you can upload unofficial transcripts into the website so that we can assess you. You don't need to have graduated already. You could be in your final year of study, and we could still consider you. We will require an English proficiency requirement. Currently, we only have two tests that we accept. One would be the IBT TOEFL, and the other is the IELTS academic. The GRE at our university is not required. It's a great indicator of your ability, and so you can submit without it. That's not a problem, but it's a good supporting document for us to be able to get a sense of your abilities. Research experience for PhD is important as well. And again, 3 recommenders. What we're looking for are people that are from people that know you in an academic setting or in a professional setting. Had a lot of people say, "Can I get my mom to send it in?" Probably not. But so the idea is, it's easy enough to put this package together. It's submitted to admissions. You can go to the admissions site at the bottom of this page and complete the application. Once we receive it, we'll review it, and after the process of submitting the application, it's reviewed by the admissions staff and forwarded to the relevant faculty or program that you might be interested in. And we have several steps of interviews and lots of hoops to jump through until at the very end we admit our class. We receive about 7,000, 8,000 applications a year, and we admit, say last year, I think we had an admission at about 378 or so.
Fantastic. Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, no worries.
So another option that we have for students is our visiting students research program. It's a research internship essentially. So to be eligible for that, you should be in your 3rd year of your bachelor degree, and we accept all master's students. Admissions requirements in terms of a GPA are very similar: 3.5 out of 4 or a 14 out of 20 equivalent to ECTSB. Strong verbal and written English skills, although you don't have to have a formal English test like the the TOEFL or the IELTS. And they go for 3 to 6 months. The benefits are you get $1,000 US monthly living allowance. All your housing and the airfares, visa, medical are covered. You have full access to our recreation and sports facilities. And of course, the main thing is that you have access to our core labs and major research and community facilities, and excellent faculty, world-class faculty to work with. For VSRP, we take about 130 students every year, 63% are male, 37% female, and we've had 74 nationalities come through since 2014. Our top countries are the UK, Italy, the US, Germany, Mexico, and France, but it's open internationally for all students. We also have student housing and services. I mentioned that housing is included in the fellowship, so that's something that is provided for you. The residential services that provided include the maintenance of the home, high-speed internet, satellite TV, local telephone service. If you have children, we have schools and daycare centres, and we have a Tamimi, which is a supermarket, clothing store, and medical facilities on campus. We have over 30 eateries and coffee shops, Subway, Burger King, Domino's. I was very surprised to find out that we had a Burger King when I arrived on campus. We also have transport and other recreational facilities like the golf course, marina where you can go snorkeling. We have gyms and even our own movie theatre. So if you have any questions about what it's like to live in student housing, Rafaela would be a great person to ask when we're done with the webinar. So that's pretty much it for now. If you'd like to contact us after this session, you can use these email addresses here. I believe we're also going to have an email that goes out to everybody. And you can also visit us at the admissions and the VSRP website. We do have a chat bot now online, which has been learning and developing over the past 2 months. And it's doing a pretty good job of answering questions that you might have as well. So give that a try if you like. But for now, I think we're going to hand it over to Lucy to moderate a Q&A for us.
Could I just say one thing before we go there?
Yeah.
I think it's also important to note that it's kind of hard to conceptualize what KAUST is at that first or the second slide where Alex showed the size of the area. But KAUST as a whole is a university, but it's also a community. So you live in the central place. If you look on this map, you can see there's a stadium up to the right corner. There is There is the island area. There's a central area for market and the labs, and the rest of it is elementary schools and preschools, and so there's over 7,000 people from all over the world living together, kind of with in a very interesting. It has a very interesting spirit of a place. It's probably one of the most unique international experiences that you would ever be able to find. I've lived here now for 6 years. I've really enjoyed the experience, the people, the culture. The KAUST itself is a very welcoming and very, very friendly environment to come to. And I think hopefully the other people on the panel would agree with me, but I just wanted to make sure that, you know, you get a sense that you're not just talking about a university, you're talking about an entire international community.
Thank you very much. You just heard from Greg Murphy, Associate Director Admissions, and also Alexander Yi, Strategic Recruitment Specialist. We also have Rafaela and Nicole, the students. Thank you to our participants for staying connected. Please remember that you need to send your questions in using the Q&A section. I will begin with those. I have a very interesting question here because I would like to start with the students. Question for Rafaela. We have a lot of Brazilians connected today. How different is the university from the Brazilian universities? What do you think?
I think about classes, it's quite similar. Like maybe like in comparing like with my university, so from the Brazilians, I am from UFRN in Brazil, and then maybe we might have like more projects. So a lot of courses they like to ask like final projects. But about research, also one thing that we were commenting with some Brazilians some time ago, it was like in Brazil, it happened a lot that we have to stop some project because we I don't know, we don't have funding enough or something like this. Like this doesn't happen in KAUST, so you don't have this kind of constraints, what is like very, very good. And then as Gregory said, like KAUST is a community, so we live like close to campus, so this also might turn our like daily life different in comparison that like as I did in Brazil. But yeah, I think it's very good so far.
What about you, Nicole? What is the difference from the US university to KAUST? What was most impactful to you? You're mute? Yeah.
Oh, goodness. I found that a lot of it's pretty similar because I think KAUST, when they made KAUST, they actually went to a lot of US universities to ask kind of their structure for their programs and stuff. So I've noticed that the university itself, when it comes to coursework, has been very similar. But I've also found that I have more time at KAUST than I did back home because my job is doing research that I love and taking classes that I'm interested in. Whereas back home, to be able to fund my research, I would have to work as a TA, I'd have to work outside of school. I just had a lot of excess things that here I'm able to just put my full effort into doing research that I love, as compared to back home when there's just a million other things to do. Like, it's cool to live on a community where I'm expected to do things that I love to do. And I get to be involved in the community and be involved in the university. It's more balanced here, I feel like, than it was back home.
Thank you. I think that's very useful for the possible future students, your possible colleagues. And there's also a lot of questions, Alex and Greg, regarding an age limit. Do you have an age limit maximum to enter a master's degree or to enter a PhD?
An age limit, that's an interesting question. I mean, we're not ageist in a way, but there is we're looking for people that are more recently out of school than, you know, like obviously people that are returning from industry. There is an opportunity, but we're open to any applications for sure.
Great. So everyone is welcome to apply?
That's correct, yeah.
We have a question about aerospace engineering. Is that a research area at KAUST?
Aerospace specifically, no, but some of the other areas obviously affiliated with aerospace engineering, we would have. So yes, there is. But if you're looking for a degree in aerospace engineering, that is not an option at KAUST.
Nicole, do you want to say?
Yeah, we actually have a lot of professors that have come from aerospace engineering backgrounds. So they will have a lot of research that has to do with that. You just won't get the actual degree, as Greg said, in aerospace engineering. But that doesn't mean that the research isn't there to be involved in aerospace.
Okay, and because we're talking about the requirements, what is KAUST policies on persons with disabilities? Is that an obstacle to apply?
Again, our applications are open. Again, we're not charging for anything, and it's open for everyone to apply. Obviously, we do our best to in our incoming class, we want to be as diverse and inclusive as possible. It's important to know that, like, obviously, depending on what that disability is, but we do have disability services. We have a lot of student services that are provided, to ensure that if you choose to come to study with us, that you're supported, that we have the facilities are accessible, and basically that we're a very welcoming and safe and friendly environment.
And you mentioned family environment. We have a couple of questions for those who are married, that have already a family. That's not an issue, correct?
Actually, no. Whenever we talked about the repatriation idea, or getting an allowance to travel back and forth, that is actually KAUST will relocate you and your spouse and your children, if you have them, and you'll be paid the amount of money to get you back to your home country and back. So it's, as I mentioned earlier, we have daycares, we have elementary schools, we have excellent high schools and an IB program here. And so there's lots of, it's definitely a friendly and safe environment for families as well.
And because it seems that a few of our attendees are married with children, can they stay outside the university and not use the housing? Is that a possibility? Actually,
so with with all of our students, the expectation is that they live within our campus. The area is a large area. There's a lot. If you look in this picture on the diagram there, there's 4 buildings that look, or the 4 of them that are there are the labs, and then off to the left is the student residence. And so there are a lot of opportunities. Accommodations are very close. There's free busing if you're a little bit farther away. It takes about 15 minutes to get from point A to point B. So the option for students, our expectation is that they would live on campus in the accommodations that are provided.
Okay, I would like to talk a little bit more about the programs. We have a participant that is interested in a PhD in earth science and would like to know the criteria. He or she says that it's her dream or his dream to solve environmental problems.
That's fantastic. So is the question around their GPA, or what is the
criteria to apply for a PhD in earth science? Okay,
so I think I did have this up here. This is kind of the basic requirements that Greg had gone through. In terms of anything to add, it helps, and actually to have some type of, one thing we didn't touch on too much was that the programs at KAUST are cross-discipline programs. So you do have opportunities in your masters and your research to not just stay in one lane, but kind of go across the different divisions and look at the different areas that we do research in. But if you're applying for a specific program, it's good to have some type of background in that program as well.
Okay, everyone, take a look at the admission requirements, but don't worry, we will also send you an email in the following days with all the details. There was a question about how many students are accepted for each area. Is that something that you can tell us about, Alex and Greg? How many students per division get accepted?
It's pretty well. I mean, PSE is the largest, the physical science and engineering is the largest division. So they have the most programs. So there's a proportionally larger number admitted to there. There are some smaller, more niche programs like our applied AMCS, Applied Mathematics and Computer Science group that is a little bit smaller. Plant Science, Applied Physics are reasonably new programs that are just growing. So the distribution is probably PSE is the largest intake, then the Computer Engineering and Mathematical Statistics group would be the second, and BESI, or the Biological and Environmental Sciences, would be a little bit smaller. But again, Alex pointed out something interesting, which is our number of students, male, female, our ratio is actually higher than what would be the norm for science and technology institutions. And something like our biology area, bioscience, is actually exceptionally high for a number of females studying at KAUST. And so it's inclusive, it's quite diverse, and the culture here it's important to point out that KAUST is unique because we are the only university currently in Saudi Arabia that has men and women studying together. It's not segregated on our campus. There is a wall around the campus, which basically, as Alex said, it's not open to the public. And so the women have been driving at KAUST for years, and in fact from the beginning. You know, like recently they just they changed the rules pertaining to driving in Saudi Arabia for women, but that's something that's been happening on our campus for a very long time. So KAUST is in Saudi Arabia, but it's not exactly the same culture. It's a very international and a very forward-thinking educational institution.
Okay, thank you very much. I see that the girls are nodding, so I'm wondering if they want to add something. Okay. Let's continue. Nicole?
I will add, I know, like, since I'm from like the whole Western part, it's kind of really a unique experience to be able to be here as a woman, to actually experience like some of the things that could be like misunderstood about this area. So I just think it's a really unique experience and very enlightening, actually. And I've loved being a woman in Saudi Arabia. So I don't know if that counts for anything, but I love it.
Did you get your driver's license, Nicole?
No, I don't have a car here. So just take the bus around.
What about you, Rafaela? What is that the same for you? Did you feel the same?
Yeah. Like the first time, like I came before I was visiting. So when I told like my parents the first time that I was coming to Saudi Arabia, it was like a bit of surprise, because as Nicole said, like we don't have a lot of like idea like how it's gonna be or how it's gonna look like. And I have seen like a lot of changes, like from 2018 to now. Like before Women's Week couldn't like go to stadiums, and this year we were watching like matches in the stadium in Jeddah, like driving, going to Jeddah without like the abaya, as I did like some time ago. So yeah, like it's been an amazing experience, and I'm seeing like a lot of changes that are actually like very, very good.
Okay, Alex, can you maybe go back to the bio of the girls, because I received a question. So Rafaela did electrical engineering, right?
Yep.
And Nicole mechanical engineering, but our participants want to know what are you guys actually doing? What is your research? What are you working on as of right now? Should we start with Nicole? Yeah.
I am working in the Clean Combustion Center. I do research on corrosion on high temperature, high pressure fuel systems. So like foils, like new materials, thermal barrier coatings. I don't think I said that word right. Thermal barrier coatings. So I kind of do the back end stuff of combustion. So I'm not actually doing combustion. I just work in the combustion center.
Okay. What about you, Rafaela?
I work with biosensors. So I wanna, in the meantime, like I saw that there is a question asking about nanotechnology. So yeah, there are professors working with this. I working with microfabrication. So we have a clean room in KAUST. And when I share with some friends like the work that I was doing, they were like, oh, so you go to the clean room and do the work by yourself? So yes. So we receive all the trainings, and once we receive the trainings, we can go and do everything by ourselves. So yeah, biosensors.
Okay, and Nicole, Rafaela, was that something that you dedicated yourselves already to before KAUST during your bachelor's, or in the case of Nicole, the master's, or is it a completely new theme for you guys?
So I actually started my master's back at my home university, and then I found out by some chance I found out about KAUST, and that they had this rig that needed someone to work on it. It was the people were graduating that was using it, and they needed someone to run this rig. So I talked to the professor here, and I ended up actually leaving my master's program to come here to do my PhD to work on this rig, because it's just a state-of-the-art rig that we have that nobody else in the world has. I think there's maybe 3 in the world that have something similar to this. And so I actually ended up coming here to be able to work on this exact rig. On that same kind of note, I think something that we may have brushed over a little bit, I think Rafaela said something, is we have a lot of really great research equipment that you won't have anywhere else. Like we have state-of-the-art core labs, state-of-the-art research equipment that you get to use yourself, that most of the time you have to send things off and wait for it to come back, but we actually get to use the hands-on experience. We have like lab technicians, staff, everybody to help you do your own research on your own equipment rather than having to share with a gazillion other people, maybe, if that was your experience in your undergrad. So one reason I came here was because they had the equipment that I wanted to do my research in, because I want to go into industry in corrosion. So it just was the perfect path for me to come to KAUST. That was really long, I'm so sorry.
Thank you. Rafaela, what about you at Federal University in Brazil? Did you conduct the same research?
So what I'm doing now is very different from what I did during my bachelor, and very different to what I did in KAUST while I was visiting. So in my bachelor, I was more focused on instrumentation, electrical engineering, but working with programming, microcontrollers, this kind of thing. During the visiting, like my time as visiting student KAUST, I was working focused on communication, ultrasound communication, and now I'm working with biosensors. So I did like a bit of everything, and then when I found the area that I am now, that was actually like doing some of the classes that I had in the first semester, and then I said like, okay, this is what I want to do from now on.
That's very interesting. Thank you, Rafaela. Can you guys maybe mention a couple of examples of what your colleagues are doing? What type of research? Something that really stands out for you guys?
Sure, I would start, I guess. We work a lot with industry partners in the Clean Combustion Center. So one of the projects I think stands out a lot that catches a lot of people's attention is that we're redesigning the fuel system for McLaren motors. So that's actually pretty cool, I think. I don't know, that kind of catches people's attention most of the time. So we get to work with a lot of industry partners as well on some other really cool projects.
Okay, we actually received just now a question about working for the industry. Rafaela, anything that other Brazilians maybe are conducting?
What, sorry, can you repeat?
If any other Brazilian colleagues or South American colleagues are conducting that you think stands out for our participants?
So in my group there is another Brazilian. that he just finished his master, and his project. He was doing wireless communication, so he had like a sensor that goes underwater. So here there are some parts of Red Sea that you have like 2 meters of depth. Then he would put the sensor down in the sea, and he could communicate from the above water. So I think this was a very, very nice project.
Okay, I will let you guys sip a little bit of water. Alex, Greg, you know, we have to talk about the current situation with coronavirus and the certifications that need to be presented. When can our participants probably apply? What's the last date? Can they present English certificates later on? What is it going to be like?
So let me just, I'll talk the deadline piece. So we're in a rolling admissions phase right now. So we've had 4 rounds of admissions already, but we're still considering applications for this fall. KAUST operates on the MS programs start in the fall. You can start your MS/PhD or a PhD program in either the spring session, which is in January, or in the fall, depending on what goes on with that. So right now we are still accepting applications. By all means, please go to the admissions website and complete the application. Now, again, some people may be stuck sitting at home right now and not being able to finish your programs or graduating, or being able to complete an English assessment. Again, this whole situation is in complete flux, and so we're not really sure how long this is going to last, but we definitely would encourage you to get the application in. If you can't do an English test, you can specify that you will take the test at a future date, which allows you to submit the application. It's not going to hold up the application. So by all means, you know, put down that you intend to take a test in the future, and that will allow us to review your application, review your transcripts, and move the application forward to faculty. If it looks acceptable, faculty can interview you and find out whether you fit into the program, whether you're a good fit or the program's a good fit for you. And then we also do some interviews as well. So by all means, we're just carrying on day to day right now, making sure that, you know, we would like you to get your applications in. We'll review them as quickly as we can. And we're very aware that there's lots of questions as to, will we be starting, you know, when would we be starting in the fall? What about students that have applied without finishing their graduation? What's their status? So all of these things are still under discussion, but by all means, if you're interested in this fall, we're still definitely considering your application.
Thank you very much, Greg. And I would like to remember participants that you receive KAUST contact, so you can always send an email, explain your situation, get in touch directly with KAUST.
Just Lucy, on the admission side as well, we do have the internship programs. The same goes for admission for them, but we're looking at the applications as they come in, but they would start, given the situation at the moment, would look at them starting off in a few months, but they're available online for everyone to look at now.
Great. Greg, Alex, does KAUST have partnerships with universities from other countries?
Yeah, I see the question says specifically a Mexican university. So we work with UNAM in Mexico. We're actually meant to be there next month, but because of the situation, we're unable to be there. But yeah, we do work with a few, and we do have a few Mexican students as well.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to leave KAUST's contact.
Just sorry, Lucy, Dylan says that he's from UNAM. So if he goes to the international office, he can find out more about us, or if he wants to email us, I'll put the screen up again.
Yeah.
The back, we can give him more information on that as well. But we have an agreement with UNAM and lots of other universities. So if you're not sure, you can ask your international office or contact us directly.
Okay, so here you go. Don't worry about writing it down or taking a screenshot. You will also receive an email in the following days with all the information that you need. Any templates for recommendation letters? And I think also Nicole and Rafaela can also contribute to this question. How did you prepare for your recommendation letter? Okay.
I spoke with some professors that I worked with during my bachelor. So I talked with the professor that I did the thesis with, and some professors that I did research. But I'm not sure. I don't think Gregory might be better to answer like specifically about the template, but I don't think that at the time I used some kind of template. But usually also professors, they already have some idea like how the recommendation letter should look like. So no, I think I just like explained them like what I was applying, what was the program, the university, and everything. And I like, yeah, please write a nice recommendation letter for me.
It's a good point. So technically in the application, what you do is you identify somebody that will provide us with a recommendation. We're not expecting and don't really want it directly from you. The best thing to do is obviously to talk to them, saying you may get a communication from this university for a recommendation. We have a kind of a matrix that says, you know, your experience working with Rafaela, you know, is what, and they would rank you, as well as be able to upload a recommendation. So what we want from the people that know you academically or in a professional basis is how will you fit into graduate studies? How will you succeed in the area of research? This is a very research focused institution, and basically know more about you. So we ask for 3 recommendations, and that's something that we send an invitation once you submit your application to the people you've identified, and they will click on a link and provide the information. So we kind of walk them through the process.
Okay, I would like to ask the last question, because you mentioned the interview. How did the girls prepare for the interview? What is the interview like? Let's start with Nicole, maybe.
So my interview, after I submitted all of my things, they scheduled all the interviews for me. And I had 2 interviews with 2 different professors in mechanical engineering. And they asked me, because of what I wanted to go into research, they asked me questions about like heat transfer and fluid dynamics and all that stuff. And they were pretty fundamental questions. And KAUST is very kind. The professors kind of sent me like, hey, be prepared. We're going to ask you kind of questions along this line. And so I had those 2 academic interviews, and then another one that's called your Fit for KAUST interview, that just try to get to know you to see if you'll be a good fit for the community. Because we are a small community, you need to fit well with your major and with your research group, but also within the community as well. We're very diverse, so I want to make sure you fit there. And then when you get here, depending on your major, you may have another test just to see like if you need to take some remedial courses or not. But they give you all of the, my goodness, my words are gone. They give you all the study material. You know exactly what topics to study, and you just study from those, and you go take a little multi-question test to see if you're up to par with where you need to be able to start into earning credits, or if you should take like a 100 level class just to kind of brush up on some of the topics before you jump in. So that was my experience. It was good.
Thank you very much. What about you, Rafaela?
So in my case, I contacted my professor before actually I applied to KAUST. So this is actually something that I recommended to some of my friends that were applying. Like you can start looking for someone that you would like to work with, like before applied. And professors here, they're very friendly in the sense that you can just write them like, hi, I am Rafaela, I'm working with this, and I'm thinking about applying to KAUST. So this is what happened with me. So I have like an informal interview before applying. And then after you apply, you also have the interview with the admission. So this one was the one that I was worried like, oh my God, I have no clue how it's gonna be. And then it was like very chill. Like I think it's, as Nicole said, it's more about like are you gonna adapt to KAUST lifestyle? Like, hey, what do you like to do in your free time, and this kind of like questions. And then also we had the kind of like a placement test. So they're gonna send you like a file with everything that you need to prepare. So for me, electrical engineering, so some calculus, signal processing, electromagnetics, and so on. And then they're gonna recommend the books and the materials that you should use to study. And the interview is it's following the material that that you should study. And it's very chill. It's like it was via Skype. And then yeah, I think these were the interviews that I had. It was good and nicer than I expected. I think that everyone it's a bit like nervous of how it's gonna be. Usually, sometimes it's the first time that they're gonna have like an international interview, and then I was like, my English is gonna be enough, and it was like super okay.
That's good. I think that our participants can also relate to that. Can I go for another one, Alex and Greg? Do you recommend to apply for a PhD just after the master's, or do you recommend working for a year maybe? What do you think for those who already have a master's? Should they apply just now, or should they wait a little bit? What do you think?
I think they should apply now, but I'm kind of biased. Maybe Nicole seems to be nodding very eagerly, so she might have something to say about it, and maybe Rafaela as well.
Okay.
Nicole, would you like to?
For some reason, I have strong opinions on this. I don't know why. I just have strong opinions on it because I feel like while you're in the zone of going to school and doing the work and studying and having those weird hours, I think you should just go for the whole thing. If you want to get your PhD, there's no better time than to just go for it. That's my opinion. I think while you're a student, so just be a student so you don't have to go back to being a student. Mm-hmm. Also, because KAUST is so awesome, it's easy to be a student here because your work is you're being a student. So if you're gonna do it, go for your PhD and go for your PhD at KAUST.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thanks, Nicole. Thanks also to Rafaela, Alexander, and Greg. That was all of it for the questions that we couldn't answer. If you're asking about your background, your IELTS, your GMAT, GRE, please contact KAUST directly. They will review everything and answer. I want to thank everyone that participated from all over the world. I hope that you have a good continuation of your morning or afternoon. Alex, Gregory, Nicole, would you like, Rafaela, would you like to add anything else besides, of course, we're waiting for the applications to come in?
No, there's one more thing, and it's really important. Actually, two more things. First of all, we have one more poll, right? We've been waiting for the last poll, which is, I believe it's, are you interested in applying? And which one is it that you, hopefully not too many in the bottom.
Yes. So are you guys interested now in applying? Yes for programs, yes for internships, or no? I will give you another 10 seconds to answer.
And while they do that, I guess to Nicole's point about being in a student mode and having, you know, an opportunity come, these opportunities, they don't come up all the time. And to have, I didn't really touch onto it too much, but the funded piece, the feedback that we get from the students that tell us every year, the facilities and the funding make it a really interesting and I guess fulfilling choice for them, because they don't have to worry about part-time work. They don't have to worry about where they're going to live. They don't have to worry about whether their funding in the US for the research they want to do is going to be there next year and they're going to get cut by their professor. I mean, I hate to say in such brutal terms, but that fear doesn't exist. You know, the funding that you get for your program is there for the duration of it. So it's a really great opportunity for you. If you're on the fence, again, it doesn't cost money to apply, and it's worth having a deeper look into. Our faculty are just as good as faculty from anywhere around the world. Our facilities are amazing. We have our own supercomputer, as Rafaela said, countless clean rooms. Nicole's doing stuff with McLaren Formula One by the sound. So, I mean, there's a whole lot of different opportunities, not to mention we're right on the beach on the Red Sea. If you're into the marine and the biology stuff, you can't get a location anywhere better. So yeah, have a look at it. If you have questions, we're open. I want to thank Rafaela and Nicole for being very generous with your time. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And Greg, and thank you to your audience for spending an hour of your time listening to us talk about KAUST. At the start, majority of you said you hadn't heard about KAUST. I hope you're leaving with a pretty positive impression, and we hope to hear from you soon.
Thanks so much, Alex, Greg, Nicole, and Rafaela. So 78% of our participants are interested in applying for the programs. That's great. Thank you again in behalf of Doxity for taking the time to participate in this webinar. This was done in partnership with KAUST. We will send you an email with all the details in the following days. Share it with friends, family, and I hope to see you again very soon. Bye. See you next time.
Thank you. See you.
See you guys.